Hello students, how are you all? I hope so you all are happy and fine also. As you know that myself Sunil Pawar, I am just going to start the new session for the 11th class biology. Okay, as you know that in our previous chapter, in our previous video, we just started what is biology. It was just an introductory part of the biology in which we learn about the methodology of biology, definitions of biology, meaning of biology, okay, and as well as we also learn about the nature and scope of biology. Clear? This chapter is actually quite introductory in nature, and it was also included that is the taxonomical portion too. But as you know that because of this new circumstances and these new conditions, okay, NCERT and CBSE actually reduces nearly 30% of course, and in this prospect few portion from this previous chapter was deleted. Okay, so in the second part it was actually, but I am not going to explain here because of it is not in your course. Clear? What is it? That is the taxonomy. Okay, diversity of life. Clear? In which the taxonomical portion was there. Okay, the different tools which used to identify, classify and naming the organism, this also thing was there. Different tools was also there. Okay, likewise that herbarium, botanical garden, zoo, okay, open specimen kept, how can we keep them, how can we study them, clear? Different geological and biological aspects were there, okay, how to prepare the herbarium, this everything was there, okay, but I am not going to detail, but at least, okay, I just want to talk to about this taxonomy, okay. As I told you, what is taxonomy? This one is actually made up of two terms, one is taxon and second is normus. What is the taxon? Taxon means group, and what is the normus? According to the law, okay. It means simply the grouping of organism on the basis of rules and regulation, that is called as taxonomy. And actually taxonomy considered these three basic facts. One, that is the identification of the organism, okay. As organism identify, then it need to name. So second portion was the naming of the organism, and once it was named, then it will need to classify, which we are going to discuss in this second chapter, that is the biological classification, okay. But second one was that is the naming of the organism. I just want to take your 2 minutes only, okay. There were two systems of nomenclature. The process of naming of the organism, that is called as nomenclature, and whatever the name which we call them the scientific name, just like that. What is your scientific name or biological name? Right, you are a Homo sapiens. It included two words, first one that is the Homo and second is the sapiens. That's why it kept in this category, that is the binomial nomenclature, okay. The naming of organism when consisting two name, the first name is generic and second is the species name, then this kind of nomenclature is called as binomial nomenclature system, and it was given by Carolus Linnaeus, okay. This even Homo sapiens name was also given by Carolus Linnaeus, remember this one thing. So here some names you know very well, that just like that Panthera leo, this is the name of lion, okay. Passer domesticus, it is the name of the house sparrow, okay. Few facts you should remember, okay, while using this scientific name or this biological name. First of all, it started with the capital letter, first name with the capital letter and second name with the small letter, clear, and it should be written in the italics when it is in the printed form, okay. If there is any handwritten notes, then you should underline it, clear. these names were taken from the Greek and Greek language, okay, so and Latin also, clear. And next one thing, in the beginning the in bracket, actually here the common name is given, but there was a provision for writing the name of the person who gave this name actually, clear. So I am just suggesting you, advising you, just learn the scientific names of the common organism, okay, which basically used in our surrounding, okay. So it is important while wherever we are quoting this organism, then we should know the biological name, because we are from the bio stream. You are a biology students, then you should know the name of this one thing, okay. So make a table and just collect the name of animals and plants, okay, as well as the fungus and this one thing too, and write their scientific name also. If it is an animal, then geological name, it is a plant, then it is a botanical name, and commonly we call it the scientific name, clear. So here this two one, okay. Now then, just to overcome one problem of the variation, one more system was introduced, and it was named as trinomial nomenclature system, clear. You know that when the organism migrated from one place to another with a wide range of their distribution, clear, then what we observe, because of responding and adopting themselves, they change themselves, okay, and these changes are responsible to make them somewhat different from the pre-existing one. That means a morphological variation or changes is observed, clear, and that's why they start to gradually become different from the previous one, okay. So this is the reason why a new part is also added in this one thing, and that is the subspecies, clear. So this trinomial nomenclature system consisting three words, okay, the genus, second is species, and third is subspecies, okay. With the help of the example of crow, we can learn this one thing, okay. This three Asian one, the Indian crow, Burmese crow, and the Lankan crow, clear. Its scientific name is basically Carvus splendens, okay, but because of development of some new characters, okay, they become somewhat different from the basic one or the main one, clear. So that's why here we added this third word, splendens in the Indian crow, insolence in the Burmese crow, and protogallus from the in the Lankan crow, clear. So this is trinomial nomenclature system. And what is the speciality of this one thing? Once upon a time, surely this subspecies is going to become a main species, because they will be totally different from the others, okay. So what to do? Just drop this middle name, drop this second word, this second name, okay, and this way we will have now only this Indian crow will become Carvus splendens, okay, Burmese crow will become Carvus insolens, okay, and the Lankan crow will be Carvus protogallus, clear. So this is the importance of trinomial naming system or nomenclature. So remember this fact about this one thing, and just take a light note, just take the study of this taxonomical portion on the lighter note, okay, just to learn what are the processes. But I am again telling you, this taxonomical portion is not going to included in your evaluationary theoretical part, okay. So remember this thing. Now moving forward, now we are starting the second chapter, that is the biological classification. So today we are discussing about the first part of the biological classification, clear. Simply, what is classification? If you observe the literate meaning, then classification means to classify. That means the grouping of the object. Simply, if you remove this word biological and if you are only considering the classification, then what is the classification? Grouping of the objects or thing according to their similarities and dissimilarity, according to their uses, according to their structure, according to their shape, size, color, whatever is there, okay. And by categorizing them like this one, what is the purpose of classifying them? Only and only purpose is to facilitate the study, to facilitate the process. Okay, so classification is nothing, it is just according to our convenience. Okay, what is the need of a study, we can classify them into different one according to our wish, according to our criteria. Clear? Okay, so here a definition about the biological classification is given. Biological classification is the scientific procedure of arranging organism into groups and subgroups on the basis of their similarities and dissimilarities and placing the group in a hierarchy of categories. Okay, you learn in 9th class also in the diversity of life what is the category, what is the hierarchies. Okay, so now here when we identify organism, we named it, then it need to group. So it is a scientific process. Whenever we use this term scientific process, that means it is always a systematic process. Clear? So through this systematic process, we are arranging them into groups and subgroups. Clear? And on the basis of which one thing, there are similarities and dissimilarity. This is such a primary type of classification. Okay, and placing them into different categories and order of their origin, evolution and development there only. Clear? So this is just about the biological classification. What is the classification? Now we are moving, what is the importance of classification? Clear? So first of all, the study of one or two organisms is not sufficient to know about the essential features of the group. Clear? So just like that, you know that millions of animals and plants are present in this nature. Okay, so here when we are classifying the organism, then we have to study a large number of organisms in a group, and then later on this character will generalize to learn about that features. Okay, now then they will be representative of this one thing. So by discussing about any one, you can generalize the characteristics of the whole group of that organism. Then all kinds of organisms do not occur in one locality. Clear? Because of according to the different locality, according to the different places, the organisms also varies from one to another one, and they are different from each other. Okay, then classification helps in knowing the relationship among the different groups of organisms. You know that this time we adopted phylogenetic system of classification. This is not only classifying the organism in the groups, okay, but it is also responsible to correlate. Okay, it is responsible to establish a relationship and an interaction with the pre-existing one, and it is just a systematic arrangement of the organism according to their origin and their existence. Clear? Now then it helps in knowing the evolutionary relationship between the organism. Just like that, if you observe the human beings, then you will not find any relation with monkeys, with cow, with donkeys, with other one. Okay, but as you move forward and when you reaches to the class Mammalia, then what you will observe? All the mammal organism, all the mammals, all the viviparous animals, those who feed their individuals, they all kept in the same group. That means you, donkey, dog, lion, cow, different herbivores, this all belong to the same one, those who are viviparous in nature. So think about it. This is the way who shows your relationship with your ancestor one. And when you reaches to the final kingdom, that is the Animalia, then you will observe that you are even not different from the amoeba, that unicellular animal. You also belong to them. It shows that we originate from the simplest one and we reaches to the most complex part of the organism. Okay, so this is the importance of the classification. Now we are moving forward to just learn about the history of the classification. Clear? So it is well said that the history of classification of organisms as old as human civilization. Okay, when we just start civilizing ourselves, we become civilized, then from that part only it was started to group and classify the organism. Okay, so first of all we can learn about the contribution of the Indians in classifying the organisms. Okay, so first of reference of classification of organisms are available in Upanishad and Vedas. Okay, 1500 BC to 600 BC. It is quite older in nature. Okay, however, earliest human activity can be traced back to early middle and late stone age, that is 4 lakh to 2 lakh BC before one. Okay, and now about 740 plants and 250 animals have been mentioned in Vedic literature, and few significant literatures are also available there. You know that. I think so you heard about Charak. Okay, he wrote a book, that is the Charak Samhita. Okay, and it was considered one of the basic and authentic documents on the Ayurveda. Okay, actually this present time Ayurveda is purely based on this Charak Samhita, in which he nearly explained about the 340 plants and their medicinal use. Okay, so this was the first systematic classification which was given by him to learn about the medical or the medicinal uses and the purposes of the plants only. Clear? Okay, now so here we can see that in Chandogya Upanishad, okay, here the animals have been classified into three groups. One like Jiraja, second is Andaja, and third is Obija. Okay, Jiraja, in this one the oviparous animals actually kept, sorry, viviparous animals actually kept. What is the viviparous? The category of the animals who give birth to their offsprings or the individuals. So all the mammals is actually kept in Jiraja. Then Andaja, name itself giving under, means the ova. So all the oviparous animal, whether it is birds, reptile, insects or worms, who used to give the eggs, and they have external development as well as few of them also having the fertilization. So this is the Andaja. And the Obija, it is actually somewhat related with the amphibians like feature. Okay, but actually in this one they explain about the animals who basically based on which one thing, vegetal organism. Okay, that means those who based on the grass and the herbs only. Clear? Now then Sushruta Samhita, it is nearly 600 BC ago, and here organisms are classified into one that is Isthavara and second is the Jangama. In Isthavara we use that, in which the immobile organism like plants were kept. Okay, later we will discuss the two kingdom classification. So this is one of the criteria of two kingdom classification. Those animals, okay, those animals and plants and organism, you can use the word organism, who is not motile in nature. So only on the basis of this quality, because they are non-motile in nature, this Isthavara, that means those who remain fixed on one sthal or place, that is the Isthavara, this one is kept there. And second is the Jangama. Okay, so this Jangama is the category of the organism which is mobile in nature, that means who can locomote, who can move from one place to another. So all the animals actually kept there. So even you know that this is such an old one, but in the modern age, when the first systematic classification of the organism was performed, there are two kingdom classification, so it is quite similar to this one. Okay, so this actually the contributions of the Indian is not properly explained in the modern era, but it is quite important. You can conclude so many basic facts of the modern science and the modern era from the Indian contribution. Okay, now the second part, that is the Western contribution of the scientists for this classification. Okay, likewise the Hippocrates. Clear? If you know that Hippocrates in 460 to 377 BC and the Arastu 384 to 322 BC, he differentiates the living beings into plants and animals. Okay, previously so many different classification was given, but somewhat systematic started from this one thing. So this Arastu and Hippocrates divided organism into two categories, one that is the animals and second is the plant. then the Theophrastus, okay, is regarded as the father of botany. He identified nearly 480 plants and the basis of their habitat and classified them into trees, shrubs, undershrubs and herbs. Okay, the present category is trees, shrubs and herbs. Okay, but one more category was there, that is the undershrubs. Okay, so this 4 categorization of the plants. Okay, this is the first systematic way of classifying the plants, so that's why he is named as father of botany. Then we come to know the Pliny, the Eller and the John Ray. Okay, they reported about 18,000 plants and animals in his book, that is the Historia Generalis Plantarum. This is the first written documents we can consider, okay, to explain the basic features of the plants in this one. Okay, then the Carolus Linnaeus, okay, he described nearly 5,900 species of plants in his book, that is a Species Plantarum. Okay, and he also described nearly 4,200 species of animals in his book Systema Naturae. Okay, so remember the books which is written by this one. Okay, and he is well known for his system of binomial nomenclature for naming the plants and animal, and he is also regarded as the father of taxonomy because the 2 parts is very well considered by the Linnaeus. Okay, one that is the nomenclature and second is the classification. So that's why this Carolus Linnaeus is named as the father of taxonomy. Okay, so just remember about this contribution of Indian and the Western countries. Clear? Okay, now here we are talking about the system of classification. Clear? So we know that from the beginning a proper need of classifying the organism is very badly feel by the scientist. Okay, so there were basically this 3 basic system of classification was opted. First one, there is the artificial system of classification. Okay, second was considered the natural system of classification, and third one is the phylogenetic system of classification. Okay, so here one by one we are going to discuss all these 3. So first one is the artificial system of classification. Clear? As the name is given, it is just a superficial and the primitive way of classifying the organism, not any too much scientific basis were there. Okay, so only 1 or 2 morphological characters for grouping organism is used, and it was based on only few characters. Okay, now what is the basic feature of this artificial system of classification? The organism were classified only and only based upon their morphological features. Okay, and very few, not too much, not all. Clear? And just like that, flowering and non-flowering plant, the plants were categorized on the basis of these 2. Okay, simply the anema and anema. Okay, so anema were those who did not had RBC, and anema were those which had RBCs. That means the next classification of the animals is just based only on the presence and absence of the RBCs. Okay, this also classified the animals into anema and enema on the basis of absence and presence of RBCs respectively, and it is present and absent in the blood. Clear? So this Arastu and Linnaeus, these were considered as the founder of the artificial system of classification. Clear? But remember, this artificial system of classification was not that much scientific in nature because few or only external characters was considered on the basis of this one thing. Okay, so that's why it is not a real system of classification. Clear? So this was the basic drawback of the artificial system of classification. What is the basic feature? Only and only superficially morphological characters was considered, and they were also very few to classify the organism, and even the organism was classified on the basis of just like that, the habitat, what kind of medium they were used. Okay, so like this one thing. Now the next one thing, that is natural system of classification. So this classification takes into consideration comparable study of a number of morphological characters so as to bring out natural similarities and dissimilarities, and hence natural relationship among the organism was observed, and the Bantam and Hooker is considered the founder of this natural system of classification. Okay, now what is the better thing in this one, or what is the improvement in this case? In this one, not only the morphological features was considered, but also some biological activities as well as that both the two one, not only the similarities but also the dissimilarities of the organism, the features was also considered by the scientists. Clear? Then the most approved and the most common and the most modern way of classification is now introduced, and it was named as the phylogenetic system of classification. Okay, that means what? The grouping of the organism not only basis of their morphological feature, but in this one the grouping and classifying of the organism is also based on their ancestral history also. So this is the most important feature. Clear? It based on the evolutionary relationship of organism, and in this system sorry, organisms are classified on the basis of their evolution on earth from primitive to highly evolved. This Euler and the Prentley classified and Hutchinson classification also. Clear? So what is the speciality of this system of classification? Not only the present feature was considered, but they also keep one most important fact in their mind, that is their ancestral history. Okay, so we can consider that this classification is the most important because it is based on the evolutionary history of the organism. So it is also telling you about who were the ancestor and from where this organism actually evolved. Okay, now then here we are going to discuss the types of classification. So first of all, just take a look of this type of classification. So here we can see that on the basis of depending upon the system of classification, we are having this different system. One, there is a two kingdom classification in which the whole organism were divided into plant and animals. Okay, then to rectify the problems of this one thing, the new system was adopted, that is the three kingdom classification. In this one, Plantae and Animalia is actually separated with the third group, that is the Protista. Okay, in 9th class you learn this one. Okay, then the four kingdom classification was also introduced. In this system of classification, Monera is also added there. So now which one thing? First group was Monera, second is the Protista, third is the Plantae, and fourth was the Animalia. Then just still some drawbacks were there. So to overcome from the drawbacks of this four kingdom classification, now R.H. Whitaker, he introduced the new system of classification, that is the five kingdom classification. Okay, in this five kingdom classification we observe that now there are five groups. The first one, that is the Monera, second is the Protista, okay, third is the Plantae, third is the fungi, fourth is the Plantae, and fifth one, that is the Animalia. Okay, so this way we observe that this five kingdom classification was there. Okay, and later on one more introduction was there, that is six kingdom classification were there also. Okay, so we will discuss later on the grouping of this Monerian, and this one is divided into these things. Okay, so first we are going to discuss this two kingdom classification. As the name gives itself its meaning, two kingdom classification, according to this system of classification, the whole organism who existed in this nature is classified into two categories. One is Plantae and second is Animalia. Okay, and the basic criteria which was used, and it was given by Carolus Linnaeus. Okay, so what criteria he opted? He adopted two basic features. One, that is mode of nutrition, and second is the mobility. What is the mode of nutrition? Whether they are autotrophs or heterotrophs. Clear? They are motile or non-motile in nature. Okay, so this way these two criteria were fixed. If these organisms are autotrophs and they remain fixed on only one place, that means they are non-motile, then they were kept in one category, that is the Plantae. Okay, and if they are heterotrophs and they are able to change their place, they are able to move from place to place, then they were considered as the animals. Okay, so there are two categories. So in this two kingdom classification, in this Plantae it included algae, fungi, bacteria, bryophytes, pteridophytes and spermatophytes. Okay, now angiosperm also, you can see this fact, all this one is included in this Plantae. Clear? While on, see that fungi is also there, bacteria is also there, but what is the only one condition? That is, they must be autotrophs, and second one, they must be non-motile in nature. Okay, then the second group is Animalia. In this one you can see that all this group of organisms was there: coelentrates, porifers, helminths, molluscans, nematohelminths, annelids, echinodermates and the chordates were there. So these two category of the organism was there. One first, that is the Plantae, and second is the Animalia. Clear? So first of all, we just try to learn what are the features of Plantae. You know that what is the basic feature of the plant? The cell consisting cell wall. Okay, this is the basic feature of this one thing. A well developed cell wall is present, then a big central vacuole is present in the cell, who is responsible to shift that nucleus at the periphery. Okay, then the unlimited growth and well defined growing points are there. That means till the death this organism is used to just develop themselves, just to grow themselves in all the direction. It is not the limited one. Okay, then autotrophic mode of nutrition is present, and what is the reserve food? That is the starch. Okay, next one thing, no locomotion is observed except then the primitive algae. Clear? Then absence of the excretory organ, nervous system, sense organs and the muscular system, because no such this kind of higher responses were given by them. So that's why very poorly developed systems were there. Okay, then the slow response to external stimuli. They are giving stimulus because they are living being. We learn that irritability is one of the basic feature of a living organism. Okay, or the living being. So they are living, they are also giving response, but very slow. That's why muscular system is absent, nervous system is absent. Okay, as well as this brain and all such things are absent. Now second, we are going to discuss the features of the Animalia, just opposite. First of all, the cell wall is absent and only the cell having the outermost covering as a cell membrane. Clear? Then inorganic crystals are not present in their cells. Okay, so which was present in the plant cell. Okay, then the central vacuole is not present, so that's why central nucleus is present. Okay, this is one of the basic difference between the animal cell and the plant cell. Okay, in the plant cell nucleus is peripheral, while in the animal cell nucleus is central in nature. Okay, now growth is limited and well defined growing points are not present. Okay, just like that you. Okay, after showing a certain growth in all direction, now you stop. Okay, you can see that the growth of the male is just stopped, it continue up to 20 years. Again the female in between 18 years it will stop. Okay, that means a fixed growth, that means it is in a proper ratio. Now the reserve food is present in the form of the glycogen. Okay, the excretory organ, nervous system, sense organs, these all are very well developed and present in it. Clear? Locomotion is present. For this locomotion, according to their habitat, they have different types of locomotory organs. Okay, then the muscular system is present to give the quick response. Okay, next one thing, they shows the quick response to the external stimuli. So by a combination of sensation, that means nervous system, clear. Second, muscular system, because of muscles and the appendages and the organs, they will responded very fast to the external stimuli, clear. Now, but it was not universally accepted. Some drawbacks were there which was observed in the two kingdom classification. Okay, so we can consider that, clear. Now, the two kingdom system of classification was accepted for a long time. However, some difficulties arise from this classification as several new living organisms have been discovered. Okay, so at the time of its consideration it was okay, but later on the new findings, the new knowledge which brought forward the new categories of the organism, clear. So now this two kingdom classification was not enough to satisfy all the criteria of the classification. What is it? The first formed organism were neither plant nor animals, okay, but from directly he divided them into two, and that is the animal and plant. Second thing, the fungi do not show similarity with the structure, physiology and reproductive system of plants. He kept fungi in the plantae group, but fungi is the what type in nature? It is saprophyte. Okay. Second thing, the cell wall of the fungi is different from the plant. Okay, but still he kept this fungi in the plantae group. There is no separate place for the fungus. Then it is not easy to recognize the lower organism is plant or animals, just like the euglena. It is a mixotropic in nature. Okay, while the sponges are figs and the branches and the irregular structures like plants. Okay, euglena, it is actually a connecting link between the animal and plant. Okay, it actually deserves a separate category, clear, because it shows the features of both animals and plant. It is autotroph but motile, clear. Similarly, this cycon, sponges, and this one hydra and this one, they are non-motile but they are heterotrophic, but still this sponges and they were kept in the animalia, not in the plantae, clear. Now the slime molds, a group of fungi, are wall-less in vegetative phase, and they develop cell wall in the reproductive phase. The slime molds can neither be placed in fungi nor in the plants. Okay, so there is no position of slime molds even in the animals or not in the plants, because they are nearly acellular in nature. Okay, now then lichens are formed by the symbiotic association of algae and fungi, and they neither resemble plant nor animals. You know that these lichens are the association of algae and fungi. They are symbionts. Separately they cannot exist, but there is no separate place for symbiotic organism is kept. Okay, so there is no proper place for the lichens, clear. Then this prokaryote do not have an organized nucleus, and they have single envelope organization, absence of spindle apparatus, and the meiosis and sexual reproduction is there. Okay, these prokaryotes do not satisfy the criteria of the cell because they don't have a definite nuclei. It is quite dispersive in nature, but still no place is proper place is given, and they kept directly them in the plantae. Okay, so this eukaryote has the cell wall and other. Similarly, the viruses do not found any proper place there. Okay, and similarly quite different one, some other features also which is unable to separate it from animals and plants. Okay, so these are the drawback. But what is the best fact about this two kingdom classification? It is the first systematic grouping of the organism on the basis of the fixed criteria, which was able to lay or started the proper classification of the organism. Now we are moving forward to the three kingdom classification. Okay, thus Haeckel in 1866 classified this organism into three groups, as we discussed: plantae, protista, and animalia. You know about the group of the plantae, you know about the group of animalia, features of animalia. Now the protista, the new word is there. So protista is actually the group of unicellular organism. okay, only one category, only one feature, that is the unicellular, whether it is autotrophs or heterotrophs or saprophytes or parasite or whatever is there, it doesn't matter. But what is the one feature? They are unicellular eukaryotic in nature, only this feature, okay. That's why this protista is also considered as the abnormal group of the organism, because it has such a wide range of variation and the varieties of the organism, okay. So what are the limitations of this one thing? Prokaryotes and eukaryotes are not separated, as I told you. Both unicellular and multicellular organisms are kept in the protista, okay. So this was the basic drawbacks of the three kingdom classification. To overcome from this one thing, this third system of classification was opted, that is the four kingdom classification, okay, in which we learn that now the Monerian was also introduced in this one thing, okay. So you remember protista is the unicellular eukaryotic organism, okay. Now the new category to separate out the prokaryotes is the Monerians, okay. So what is the Monera? Monerians is a group of unicellular prokaryotic organism, whether it is autotrophs or heterotrophs, it doesn't matter, only two feature is compulsory, one is unicellular and second is their nucleus is prokaryote, okay. So this was basically considered, okay, and this was just to overcome from the three. Now then the five kingdom system was classification was introduced. As you know that it was proposed by R.H. Whittaker in 1969, okay, and in this one the new group, that is the fungi, was also added, clear. So now how many five groups are there? The first group Monera, second group Protista, third group Plantae, fourth group Fungi and fifth group is Animalia. So that's why this classification is called as the five kingdom classification, okay. And what is the criteria? Now some new features are added actually to overcome from the problem of two kingdom classification, okay. So first one, that is cell structure, complexity of the cell, then the mode of nutrition, clear, then the thallus organization, that means what is the complexity of the body, okay, what is the different level of organization, then reproduction, what are the modes of reproduction is present in them, and finally the phylogenetic relationship, that means their ancestral evolution was also considered in this one thing, okay. Now then here we are going to discuss the merits of five kingdom classification, okay. You know the Monerian, you know the Protestant, Plantae and Animalia also, but only this new group Fungi is there, okay. So this fungi is actually saprophytes in nature, okay. They have cell wall, they are saprophytic in nature, okay, and they show food material also in the form of the glycerol and the glycol. They have cell wall, but this cell wall is different from the plant cell, it is lacking cellulose, okay, but it has the polysaccharides, chitin, pectin is there, okay. Now so what are the merits? The euglena and other transition type which had been included both among the plants and animals are given proper place in this one, that is the Protista, okay. Then the fungi have their own biochemical, physiological and structural organization, and they have never been related to plants, and this system of classification fungi are separately placed, clear. A separate kingdom of prokaryotes include Monera has been created, okay. So that's why a proper place on the basis of the physiological fact and the morphological, as well as on the basis of their speciality of the nucleus, this Protestant Monerian is also created. The system shows the gradual evolution of early organism into the plants and animals. So a proper way of their evolution was mentioned there, okay. And the plant and animal kingdom are more homogeneous than they were into kingdom in the comparison of two kingdom system, okay. So this is the merits of five kingdom classification. Now along with this one thing, still some drawbacks were there, so it was headed in the demerits of the five kingdom classification, clear. So what is the animal protozoans have been included in kingdom Protista, which also includes in unicellular plants also, and they show the different modes of nutrition. This is one of the biggest drawback, that is the protozoan. Okay, they were placed in the plantae, but they don't have cell wall, they don't have autotrophic mode of nutrition still, but they placed were in the Protista. Then the yeast are though unicellular eukaryotes and do not belong to the kingdom Protista, but still they place there only. Okay, as I told you, this Protista is the biggest drawback. Okay, it is actually considered as the dustbin of classification. Why? Because there is no such a wide criteria was considered to classify this organism or this group. As I told you, whatever the features, but what is the compulsion? Two things only. It must be unicellular and eukaryote. It doesn't matter whether it is plant, animal, fungi, what mode of nutrition is there, reproduction, nothing. Only two features will keep them in this one. That's why it is such a huge group with such a great diversities. Okay, now then euglena-like organisms and slime molds with flexible lifestyle may need the creation of an intermediate kingdom of Protista. There is need to make one more group who make them separate from this one thing. And the virus and the viroids are not kept in proper place in this system. You know that viruses is neither kept as a living being nor in the non-living thing. Clear? They are actually the intermediate one between the living and non-living one. Okay, so sorry, there is a proper place is needed between the living and non-living, and they needed a specific branch of biology also to study them and to discuss them. Okay, so next finally the sixth kingdom classification was introduced. So it was introduced by Carl Woese and the professor in the Department of Microbiology, University of Illinois in the 1990, and this system is also named as the three domain system, as in it organisms are classified into three domains like the archaea, second is bacteria, and third is the eukarya. Okay, so what is this one thing? And it mainly used the basic principle of five kingdom classification, but he divided Monera into two domains, that is the archaebacteria and eubacteria, and the other eukaryotes in the third kingdom. So what is the three category? First one, there is the archaea. Archaea means the primitive. Primitive means the most ancestral one or the first one. Clear? So the archaea domain includes prokaryotic organism, and these are characterized by a monolayer core of lipids in the cell membrane and distinct nucleotides in their 16S RNA. This is a basic feature who make them different from the others one. It contains a single kingdom called archaebacteria. Okay, in this archaebacteria include early prokaryote which lives in extreme condition. Okay, this archaebacteria is also considered as the organism of the extreme environment, right? So in this one, methanogens, halophils and thermoacidophils is also grouped. Okay, what are the methanogens? The bacteria who is responsible to release the methane by the decomposition of the organic matter. That's why it is named as methanogens. They mostly obtain in the swampy areas as well as even in the stomach of the curd chewing animals. Halophils, the salt loving bacteria. Okay, they can survive in the very higher concentration of salt, very much hypertonic solution. Okay, but still they survive. And the thermoacidophils, those who are able to survive on such a higher temperature as well as very low pH value of acid, that means even up to 2 pH value also. Okay, so that's why these are considered as the organism of the extreme environment. Okay, so this extreme environment because of this reason. Clear? Now finally the bacteria. Okay, so the bacteria domain consists of typical prokaryotes. You know that they lack cell membrane, they don't have double membranous cell organelles. Clear? And the third one, that is the this bacteria is finally divided into one more, that is the eubacteria. Eu means developed, clear. Such bacteria which is more developed in nature, they have such thickened cell wall, okay, and able to respire properly, and they have nearly 78 ribosomes in there, okay. So this actinomycetes, rickettsia is there, spirochetes are there, okay, and finally the eukarya, okay. The third domain, eukarya, contains all the eukaryotes, whether it is plants, whether it is animals, it is fungi, what is the nature, it doesn't matter, but because of their well developed nucleus, they were kept in this something. And this eukarya is further divided into this four category: protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. So this is the sixth kingdom classification, who is there to rectify the drawbacks of the five kingdom classification, okay. So remember, this all about the biological classification, in which we learn about the system of different classification, okay, according to need and their specification, okay. And what is the most primitive type? That is the artificial system of classification. And what is the most prominent and accepted, universally accepted classification system? It is the phylogenetic system of classification, in which the organisms are based on the ancestral history of their evolution, okay. So thank you very much, keep reading and keep learning. Thank you.